Hey, it's Chris Lewitt, top American junior coach and coach to many #1 juniors in the United States. Welcome to this new series, the Return to Serve Secret Series. I'm going to share with you my favorite tips and the best drills that I know to help you level up your return to serve. So stay tuned. So let's get into the grip on the return to serve. And this is a common question that I get asked by many players. How should I hold the grip? Which grip is best when I'm returning? I would say that most players, predominantly on the tour and the top juniors that I coach, they hold their forehand grip. So whether that's an Eastern or semi-Western or Western, most players like to hold their forehand grip. I don't know why that is. It's just something that you see at least that I do at the elite levels, pro level, top junior level. Maybe just people have a tendency to, they like their forehand grip, they're comfortable holding. It's usually the first grip that you learn in tennis when you're young, and it just seems natural. Well, I'm going to start with my forehand grip, and I'm going to look for a forehand too. That could be the other reason. Many players are looking to hit a forehand right away, so a lot of times they'll play in that central grip. They'll hold that forehand grip because they're looking to hit a forehand first, or they're hoping to hit a forehand. So if the forehand grip is predominant on the return, I would say a smaller percentage of players actually hold their backhand grip. So they may either start with the two-handed backhand grip here, or they may, if there's a one-handed return, like I have a one-hander, I like to wait in my one-handed backhand return. And that helps me prepare against fast serves. I have my return and my setup here ready. I tend to start this way with the racket and have my grip ready on my one-handed backhand. Two-handers the same. For me personally, players used to attack my backhand a lot, either with kick serves or with fast power serves. And so what I found was when I used to wait all the time, like most people, with the forehand grip, and then players would serve to my backhand, and I would usually end up getting caught in a continental grip and either chipping the return or not getting an effective drive because I didn't quite get my grip changed in time. So what I found that by holding my backhand grip and being ready with my backhand, I was never late again, and I was always ready to drive my backhand with topspin, and I wasn't getting caught with a chip. I found that especially at high levels, I played on the pro circuit and played top Division I college tennis. I found that when I chipped my return, it would always put me on the defensive. So I wanted to be ready with my backhand return grip, and that helped a lot. Another grip that is not as common, pretty rare, is players will hold a continental somewhere in the middle here. They'll hold kind of a neutral grip, and that way they either change to the forehand or the backhand depending on where it's coming. This is something I also tried. I never liked this because this actually, now I don't feel like I have any advantage. I have to change one way, I have to change the other, and I may end up getting caught chipping a lot of returns. I remember that Federer used to experiment with this. I'll show you some Federer clips where he's holding more of a neutral grip, and it seemed to work for him. Sometimes he would chip his return a lot. He was very fast, so he could get away with that. But I think in general, you're better off choosing one or the other. Either go with your forehand grip and work on changing to the backhand side, or start on the backhand side and work on changing quickly to the forehand side, and experiment and find what works for you. There's no one right way. You want to personalize your grip structure. No coach can tell you this is the way to return serve. I think you got to play with it, experiment, and see which side you can change the grip faster, and then which side do you want to hold and overweight. And for most people, that's the forehand. But for me, in my personal situation, it is the backhand. And every player is a little different. Another nice high-level option is most players have a two-hander these days. So you can wait in your left hand, have the two-handed grip ready with the top hand, the left hand, and then your bottom hand, you can hold your forehand grip. And this is a really nice combo deal here. Very advanced way to return. So now all I have is a very small change with my bottom hand. I basically have my two-hander ready with my top hand, and it's sort of a hybrid. And I think a lot of players on tour like this style, where if you have a two-hander, this is a great way to go, great thing to consider, is have your left hand already ready in the the two-handed grip. And on the bottom hand, don't hold your backhand, but hold your forehand if it's semi-western or whatever it is. And then right now, all you got to do is you have your forehand ready and you have your backhand basically ready. All you got to do is make a small little adjustment here, which doesn't cost you any time because you already have the top hand ready anyway. So I just think that's a really nice compromise. If I had a two-hander, and if I could do it again, I wish I had a two-hander, probably. But that would be the way to go. If you see players on tour with this configuration, I think it's probably the most optimal, the best way to hold the grip. But again, it's all about personalization and finding the grip structure that works for you. Another high-level nuance is I think players, especially if you have a two-hander, you want to hold down both grips to save time, both hands down on the grip, on the handle. And when I say two-handed players that return like this is usually how, you know, a one-handed player returns, with the left hand up on the frame or up on the throat. You know, I remember years ago, this is how I returned when I had my forehand grip. Then when I changed to my backhand grip, I have a one-handed backhand, I'll hold like this, or maybe I'll hold like this. But two-handers, I think the optimal way for two-handers is to have the hands down on the handle like this, not to be separated like this. Sometimes you see top two-handers and they return like this and then they have to slide down. So they slide the left hand down. I just think that costs a little extra time. Again, personalization, everybody's different. You got to find what works for you. But in general, if you're a one-handed player, it makes sense to return kind of like this, with the left hand up on the throat. If you're a two-handed player, I don't know why you would do that. You know, it's a little faster just to be down here. And like I said previously, have the top hand in the two-handed grip ready, in the two-hander ready, two-handed grip there. And on the bottom hand, you can have your forehand grip, and you got the best of both worlds, and it's very, very quick to change each way. So for two-handed players, I think this is optimal. Again, personalization is acceptable. And if you're a one-hander, you usually have, you keep the left hand on the throat, and you can, that helps you to change your grip for the one-handed backhand, which typically holds the left hand up high like this. So a lot of times I talk about common mistakes in many of my videos, but in this case, I don't think there's any real mistake. The only mistake, quote unquote, that I would say is if you're holding separated like this and you have a two-hander. I just don't think that makes sense. It's quicker to have the racket, the top hand down here on the handle. But otherwise, besides that, I really don't think there's any mistakes. You got to find what works for you. I think that one quote unquote mistake is if you keep getting beat up on your backhand side, you got to protect that. So either stay, you know, prepare with the backhand grip, whether that's a two-hand or a one-hander. You can't have your backhand vulnerable. You don't want to chip your backhand. So whatever you do, there's really no mistake in the grip structure on the return. Find what works for you and make sure that your backhand's not getting attacked. So if that means you have to wait in the backhand grip, or if that means you have to practice changing real quick, just don't get caught chipping your backhand too much, or you're going to get attacked, at least in today's modern game. My biggest takeaway for you guys, if you have a two-hander, this is your superpower. Both hands on the frame, down at the bottom of the frame, on the handle, ready to go. Have the backhand grip ready, have the forehand grip ready, and all you have is this little tiny change. Man, that's amazing. I wish I had that. I always had a one-hander. You know, I wish I had this advantage as a two-hander. You can have both grips right here. Backhand's ready, forehand's ready. If I get a forehand, I'm here. If I get a backhand, I have this tiny change here. It's not a big change. That's the best situation possible, and that's why, it's one of the reasons why the two-hander is dominant on the return these days, and one of the reasons why most people play with a two-hander nowadays. Very few one-handers left, because the two-hander this is one of the advantages on the return for a two-hander. I really hope you enjoyed this secrets of the return to serve video and you got some value out of it. If you like this return to serve video, check out the entire series right here. I'll see you guys on the next one.